There we go. So Fractured Atlas supports artists in all disciplines across the country. And a couple of years ago, we started hearing from our members that they were in need of a ticketing software that was easy to use, flexible, that really met the needs of a pretty wide range of artists and disciplines. They needed to be affordable and very easy to use. So we held community design sessions in cultural hubs across the country, talking to artists about what they felt was lacking in a ticketing software and what they really needed. And so in October of 2013, we launched Artfully with 3 modules of major functionality for ticketing, accepting donations, and tracking your fans. So we'll cover all 3 in the course of this presentation, and we'll start with ticketing. So there's a number of ways that you can sell tickets through Artfully, and most organizations will utilize 2, maybe 3. So you can sell tickets through a storefront that's automatically created when you set up an event within Artfully. You can use a widget or a WordPress plugin to sell tickets on your own site. You can sell tickets at the door through a box office interface that's really designed for selling tickets quickly when you've got a line at the door. And then we also have a private sales interface similar to the box office called the Sales Console. And the Sales Console is for building more complex orders, typically the ones where you have one of your fans calling up and wanting to, say, purchase season tickets, make a donation, and kind of do a lot of things within one transaction. So this is what an Artfully storefront looks like. Once you've gone through the process of getting your account set up and setting up your first event and scheduling your shows, this is what your fans will see when they click on the link to your event storefront. It's a unique link that you can share, of course, via email on your own website or through social media, showing all of the dates of your shows. If you have a lot of dates, it'll turn into a calendar with ticket drop downs for each of the ticket types you're offering. You can create multiple ticket types if you want to have, say, like a student discount. I've seen people get pretty creative with those. And then on the right-hand side, your fans will see a description of your event, an image that you upload, a map for the location of the venue that can click into Google Maps, and contact information so your fans can reach you. When a fan adds tickets to the cart, they get taken to a checkout page. They'll have a summary of the order on the left-hand side, and then they just fill in their payment information and go to checkout. We don't require people to create accounts with Artfully. We want to make sure that it's really as frictionless a process as we can, so we try to eliminate things like having people remember what password they used. But if you have somebody who is kind of buying tickets from you over and over again throughout the season, if the fan uses the same email address on each order, they'll be matched up. So you'll see all those ticket purchases on that fan's record. I just want to pause real quick and see if you have any questions so far.
No, so far so good.
Sweet. So the second way you can set up your ticketing is to use a widget to sell tickets on your own site. It's a little bit of code that you can drop in. It sometimes requires the help of a web developer. And once you have that on your site, you'll notice that there are dates on the right-hand side. Clicking on the date will expand to show your available ticket types. and a fan can add a ticket to the cart, and a shopping cart will pop up from the bottom of the screen so that she can check out right on your site.
So Marcus, quick question.
Yep.
You can either use the storefront and just sort of drop a link onto your website page, and that will take them to that separate view that we just saw, or you can use the widget and have this drop-down functionality?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is typically it. Most organizations just use the storefront. We do offer the widget as an option. And then when it's really your showtime and you have people who did not purchase tickets in advance, we offer a box office interface. This is unique to each night of your show, and it interfaces with the door list, which we'll show you in a minute. So in the box office, we've designed it to be as quick as possible for you to sell tickets while still collecting information that you're going to want to collect at the door. So you select the number of tickets, you select the payment type, either cash, check, credit, or comp. You enter the payment information, and you even have the option. You'll notice at the bottom there's a checkbox to mark tickets as received on the door list. If you check that box, it's going to sell the ticket and automatically mark the patron as having showed up to your event. That's going to be a little more important later when we look at the CRM, but that's one of my favorite features of the box office. And then finally, there's also the sales console. This is really for making more complex orders. And so to build an order, you click on the corresponding tile for basically the kind of inventory item that Artfully can sell, whether it's tickets or donations. We're currently in the process of beta testing both memberships as well as passes. So that's something that we are testing with a small number of interested organizations, where it really makes sense for the way that they have their season structured and their general business practices. So we're happy to also set up times to talk with people about how those kits work as well.
Okay.
The way that Artfully is kind of set up is that you only turn on the kind of functionality that you need. So every account starts with being able to sell free tickets, and then you can add functionality like selling paid tickets, or if you are a 501c3 organization, you can take donations through a 501c3 donations kit. Fractured Atlas sponsored projects can sign in, and we turn on a bit of functionality for them to take donations as well. So once everyone has purchased tickets to your event, you can check them in through the door list. You can kind of think of this as the other side of the box office. We have a toggle at the top of the page to flip between the door list and selling tickets, so that'll take you back and forth between the box office and the door list. And anybody who purchased tickets, regardless of whether they purchased through the storefront, the sales console, will show up here. To check people in, you just click on the person's name, and then you can check in the individual orders on the checkbox on the left-hand side. So if only one person in Jason's party was here, you can check only one of them in. When an order is partially checked in, you'll notice like on Alessandra's line kind of halfway up there, the circle is half filled in to indicate that there's still tickets remaining on that order to be checked in. The progress bar at the top of the page fills up, and you can also search the door list if you have a particularly long one. When people purchase tickets, they receive an order confirmation in their email that details the transaction, gives them a link to find the venue image, We also have just recently added an ability to add the showtime to your Google Calendar or iCal from the email.
Great.
It's really nice. I actually used it this morning and was very pleased. And then on the right-hand side, this is kind of a new feature that we've added within the last year. You can turn on a kit for printed home scannable tickets. So this is another optional free kit that you can choose to turn on. When people purchase tickets, the ticket buyer will receive a PDF with these QR bar-coded tickets. And we have an Artfully iPhone app that you can use to check people in. So this is not only a ticket scanning app for the QR codes, but it also works as a mobile version of the door list. So even if someone forgot to print the tickets, you can check them in either by swiping on their name or tapping on the order to check individual tickets in.
Great.
Awesome. I know that's a lot of information at once about all the possible ways you can sell tickets, but so do you have any other questions about how the ticketing kits work?
I have a question about credit card processing, but I'm not sure if that's something you're going to cover or if I should ask it now.
Like credit card processing fees?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to cover it later, but
Okay.
I can just let you know for paid advance tickets, the ticket buyer pays a $2 per ticket fee. And then for credit card processing, there's a 3.5% processing fee.
Okay.
There's a breakdown of it later in the presentation, though.
And I'm assuming that if we were to use this sort of, with someone sitting, for example, in box office with like an iPad, we would need one of those like cube things that will scan the card.
We have support for a USB credit card swiper that you can use with a laptop.
Oh, okay.
And it's just a USB swiper that you can plug in. It functions as a keyboard essentially, and you can swipe the card and it'll enter the credit card number and the expiration date.
Okay, great.
And we're looking into mobile credit card swipers, and then we'll also in that touch on our feature request forum kind of near the end of the presentation.
And when you say that that's something that you support, does that mean that if you subscribe to the service that that's something that you provide?
It's an accessory that you can buy optionally. We
Okay.
have support for it in the box office.
Fantastic.
All right. Cool. So then, along with selling tickets, Artfully allows for 501c3 organizations and Fractured Atlas sponsored projects to accept donations through the software. So like with selling tickets, there's multiple ways you can do it. A ticket buyer can add a donation in addition to a ticket sale. You can also collect donations on your site through a widget or plugin. 501c3 organizations can manually log donations. And Fractured Atlas sponsored projects have their donation history automatically synchronized into the Artfully CRM. So on the checkout page, if someone is buying advance tickets, there is a donate field that is available at checkout, so someone can add a donation in addition to the ticket sale. Here's an example of an organization, in this case, the Fusebox Festival. They have added the donation widget to their site. And just like with the ticketing widget, the fan would enter the amount they'd like to donate into this field. She clicks Make Donation, and then the shopping cart pops up from the bottom of the page. This option to log a donation manually, it's available to a 501c3 organization. You can open up someone's record and you can log an action, which is something we'll talk about a little more in the section on people, and log a donation both monetary and in kind. You can enter the payment method, cash, credit, or check, and fill in all that information, and that will log it on that fan's record. And then whenever someone makes a donation to a Fractured Atlas sponsored project, here we're seeing the donation being made to Third Rail projects on their sponsored donations page. That donation will go to that organization's sponsored fund so that they can request the funds for their project's expenses. And the information about that donation, including the contact information and the value of it, will be logged on that donor's corresponding record in the organization's CRM. This is an option that's available to 501c3 organizations. 501c3 organizations can set up a storefront that is just for accepting donations. You can upload an image to it, set up giving levels, and the checkout page will look just like the checkout page in the storefront. But this, unlike the storefront for a show where you would be selecting the show dates, strictly for donations. Awesome. Do you have any questions about donation processing within the software?
Nope.
Sweet. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward section.
Definitely.
But where everything really kind of comes together within Artfully is when you bring the ticket sales information and the donor histories together within the CRM. So records can be created within Artfully by selling a ticket or making a donation. Organizations can manually create records for people that they meet. You can import records in bulk through a CSV upload. And we also offer an integration with MailChimp, and that will bring your MailChimp contacts into Artfully. So when you log into Artfully on any given day, this is more or less what the first page of a very busy organization would look like. So you'll have a list of your recent events on the left-hand side, an activity feed showing who has recently purchased tickets, made donations, come to a show, or even heard from you in a MailChimp campaign. And each of the names within the recent activity feed, it can be clicked through to get to a person's record. We also have some advanced search features to find folks. And when you click into a record, this is what you would see. So this is the record for Cecilia Huang. She is a very busy lady. You can add tags to people's records. So we'll note that she's a pass holder, a member, on the board, as well as a volunteer. You can log notes on people records and star the ones you want to have put at the top. You can collect address information, multiple phone numbers. You can have multiple addresses on a record. You can log her social media information. The photo at the top of the page will be pulled in if that person has created a Gravatar account that's associated with that email. So those are automatically imported. On the left-hand side, you'll notice that there's a section for relationships and households. That's a feature that's going to go into beta fairly soon, and that will allow you to basically relate people to one another, like if someone is employed, et cetera, et cetera. You can log do not call and do not email preferences, and if you have the MailChimp kit enabled, the lists that she's subscribed to will be checked off. I'd also note that the area at the top of the page is what we call the revenue meter, and that will allow you to see CC's ticket sales. You'll be able to see donations, total lifetime value to the organization, and you can also choose to see that within kind of different ranges of time. And if you hover over that kind of series of dots, it will give you a little more information about CC's kind of spend with the organization relative to the rest of the people in your CRM. And so, as I mentioned, there is a MailChimp integration. We're currently working on a second version of the MailChimp kit that's going to allow for working with MailChimp's groups. And I believe will also allow folks to sign up for your MailChimp lists at checkout. I'm fairly certain that that's true. I'd need to double check myself on that though. And then on the left-hand side, you'll notice that we have an attended action within the action feed. And so what that's created whenever you have an event, like say one that you're ticketed and you've checked someone in on the door list. Alongside the purchase action, it will add a went action to the record. So the idea is that you can see not only who bought tickets to your event, but also who showed up.
Okay.
And anytime you send out a MailChimp campaign, you'll also see like that heard action. You can also log actions like volunteered or something that someone has said. So you can really keep better tabs on who your biggest fans are. The idea is that things like donations and ticket sales are automatically logged. So you're really largely building your CRM just through your day-to-day activities. Do you have any questions on kind of how the people records work and kind of what you can do with them?
No, this is fun. This is phenomenal. I have a slight background in development, so I get what this is tracking.
Oh, awesome!
And it seems really, really powerful. The fact that it's sort of automatically adding to the CRM just based on ticket sales and electronic donations. The one question I have has to do with the MailChimp integration. Under the preferences, you have a do not email. So if someone is subscribed to your newsletter through MailChimp and you get an email from them saying please unsubscribe me rather than them going through the usual channels of unsubscription. So you come into their record and you check off do not email. Does that then talk back to MailChimp so the next time you do a MailChimp communication they do not receive it?
That's something I'm going to have to double check on. I know right now they work separately. At the moment, those preferences are disconnected from the MailChimp kit. That might be something that's coming in the MailChimp 2.0 kit, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Okay.
Awesome. So we also offer an importing feature, I should say. You can import your existing contacts. You can import historical event data, and you can also import historical donations. I typically recommend people start with importing people. Those are the kinds of imports you can recall if something goes wrong. And if you are interested at all in importing events or donations, we're happy to look over your CSV and give it a quick glance and see if there's anything that stands out to us. So we want to really set people up for success there whenever possible.
Great.
So you'd format the information into the CSV and import it into Artfully, and then it will create records. And in the case of importing events, it'll create records, events, tickets, sales data on said tickets. It's a fairly complex feature. And then once you have all of this history within Artfully, you can really take advantage of it by utilizing advanced search. So right now we have folks who are tagged as a VIP within Minnesota and have donated more than $200 after New Year's Day of 2013. You'll notice that there's a Work With button on the right-hand side. We can add tags to all of these individuals. We can log actions that'll appear on their records. We can export them if you want to work with that data within another application. And you can also create a list segment. A list segment is a dynamic saved search. So if we save this as a list segment, we can return to it 6 months down the road. And as more people have kind of met these search criteria, they'll be reflected the next time we take a look at that data. We're also working on an updated version of advanced search that's in development right now that's going to make this even more powerful. The exporting is also an important thing to point out because we really have designed Artfully with the intention of making your data as portable as possible. We don't want people to feel like their information is trapped within Artfully. So just as you can import your people, your events, and your donations, you can also export it and get it all out. Cool. So do you have any questions on the CRM functionality?
I have a question that I guess applies to donations and the CRM functionality, sort of getting it in. If we were to do like a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe campaign, I'm assuming that whatever donations we got through that, we would be able to, the way to get it into Artfully would simply be to import it.
Correct.
Log that information in a CSV file and then import it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So for a 501c3 organization would want to do an import of those donations. For Fractured Atlas sponsored projects, we have relationships with Indiegogo and Rocket Hub.
Okay.
So if the campaign is connected to Fractured Atlas, that information automatically gets logged during the campaign. Cool. So then here is the promised breakdown of Artfully's cost structure. We don't charge anything for the CRM, ticketing a free event, or using the MailChimp kit. And when it comes to Artfully's fees, we only make money when your organization is making money. So for advanced ticket purchases, the ticket buyer pays a $2 fee for each ticket. And then there's a 3.5% credit card processing fee that gets deducted from the ticket revenue. And then for organizations who are beta testing passes and memberships, there's a 5% service fee. And we can, with those kind of items, the producer can choose to have the fee rolled into the ticket price or add it as a service fee at checkout. With passes and memberships, the 3.5% processing fee also does apply. And to give you an idea of how that breaks down, for a $15 ticket, the fan would pay $17 and the producer would get $14.47. For a donation to a 501c3, only the 3.5% credit card processing fee is charged. So for a $50 donation, producer gets $48.25. And for sponsored projects, only the 7% fiscal sponsorship fee is charged. So for a $100 donation, it would turn out to be $93. And then we also like to talk a little bit about how Artfully gets made. We practice agile development with how we build Artfully's feature sets. So we take the feedback and learning that we get from our users, we take that back to the drawing board for the design and planning stages, implement it and release features and start the whole process again. I'm sure since you said you have wait, you probably meant nonprofit development, right?
Yes.
Yeah. that's the fun thing when you work with both nonprofits and web developers. Development just takes on so many new meanings.
Well, I also have a bit of a technical background. I
Awesome.
did technical work for a development office, so
There. Okay, so
yeah.
so you can relate. Uh, as I said, we've practiced community design in building Artfully's initial features, and then we continue to do so with our feature request forum. We've actually just recently moved our feature request forum in-house. Need to remind myself to update this slide. So any producer can suggest new features that they would like to see implemented within Artfully. Other users can vote on them, and we do our very best to prioritize the features that have the most votes. So right now, we're in a beta test of memberships and flex and season passes. And then on the horizon, we've got relationships and households coming, an updated MailChimp integration, a revamped advanced search. We're working on assigned seating, fundraising campaigns, permissions. We actually have just recently released, so they're out in the wild now, and you can give different staff members different levels of access to the account. Awesome. So yeah, that's the meat and potatoes of the presentation. But are there other questions that you have about?
No, not right now. I mean, this was a great overview. Yeah, no, it was a great overview. It seems very user-friendly, both for the buyer interface or the donor interfacing with it, and those of us who would be behind the scenes using it for tracking purposes.
Well, thank you. We do try, and we do welcome feedback through the feature request forum. It's totally free to create an account, so it's pretty easy to kind of get hands-on that way. And we also have a knowledge base where you can kind of see all of the functionality of Artfully laid out, along with articles that detail how each function works. I'm writing down your question now about do not call preferences.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if it was that integrated, but if it's not, it would be good to know that, just because removing the person from the MailChimp list would be a second step to take to avoid sort of pissing them off.
Yep. Come on. Well, I can make that out. My pen wasn't entirely cooperating, but that's fine. Well, fantastic. Well, if you do have additional questions, we do have our contact information here. We're in the office from 10 to 6 Monday through Friday. And yeah, either myself or my colleague Alessandra would be the one likely to answer your questions.
Great. Thank you very much. This was very helpful.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, and I hope to see you guys using Artfully soon. What's your company called?
Pegasus Theater Project.
Nice. Very nice. Well, definitely keep us posted as you move along in the process.
Will do. Thank you very much.
No problem. Have a great evening.
You too.